song, a full frontal parking lot scene that's a fight, and the gospel banger Misbehavin'. At the center of the Gemstone family is Eli Gemstone, played by John Goodman, and his three deeply flawed adult children who are constantly caught up in rivalries and schemes to keep their religious empire intact. In the scene I'm about to play, the three siblings, played by McBride, Edie Patterson, and Adam Devine, are all trying to convince their dad Eli, who is retired as the head preacher, to come back to the church for a fundraising event to honor their late mom. Goodman's character Eli, who speaks first in this clip, has left town on a boat to escape the church and the family.
What can I do for you kids?
Ain't nobody heard whether you were coming back from Mama's birthday celebration telethon. Just curious if maybe your RSVP is floating around some bottle out here.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna make it. What? Why come?
It's for Mama, Daddy.
Yeah, that's your dead wife, remember, dude?
Of course. I'm out here. I'm trying to wrestle with things. I'm trying to figure out what I need.
This dude's down here wasting away in Margaritaville, thinking he's Robinson Crusoe. Like you Tom Hanks from that one motion picture.
Philadelphia.
No, not the AIDS one, the by himself one.
No, dang, I just had
The
it.
by himself one. What is the Tom Hanks by himself one?
Castaway.
Castaway. Bingo. That's what you doing, Daddy. You out here acting like you in that damn motion picture.
Danny McBride has built a career, really an empire, as a writer, actor, and producer with a sharp sense for the ridiculous side of masculinity and ambition. He creates men who are loud, delusional, and hilarious, in part because they are totally unlikable. Think Kenny Powers, the trash-talking, washed-up baseball player in Eastbound and Down, or Neil Gamby, the petty, power-hungry vice principal and vice principals. Include This Is the End, Tropic Thunder, and Pineapple Express. Most of The Righteous Gemstones was filmed in and around Charleston, South Carolina, where McBride has carved out his own version of Hollywood's South with his longtime collaborators David Gordon Green and Jody Hill, running their production company Rough House Pictures. And Danny McBride, welcome back to Fresh Air.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being on here.
Remind us of how this idea kind of came about. I read that you initially wanted to write something about the Memphis Mafia right around the 30th of
I did. I had an idea I was working on called The King is Dead that was all about sort of that summer when Elvis died, and it was, it was going to be a crime story about the Dixie Mafia, and I don't know, I was playing around with it, but I never really found the right angle into it, but there was a lot of details and things I liked about that world and that, that attitude for characters. And so I kind of had put a pin in that for a while. I wasn't sure what to do with that story. And after I moved to Charleston, South Carolina, which was in 2017, once I got here, I moved from Los Angeles, I just was seeing how many churches were around. And it got me kind of thinking about when I was a kid. I used to go to church a lot. I was raised in a pretty religious family. And it just kind of got my brain thinking about what church is like now. And so I started doing some digging around and kind of researching. And that's when I kind of came around this idea of these mega churches and kind of like noticing how they were starting to inhabit old box retail stores here in the South. And they were just kind of popping up everywhere. And the more I kind of dug around on it, the more it kind of seemed like, well, maybe that Dixie Mafia story could unfold in a televangelist family. Maybe we could mash those two things together.
You lived in Los Angeles for like 20 years or something, right?
I did, yeah. I moved out there in 99, and I really had a good time living out there and enjoyed it. And I think once we started working a lot, the stuff we were making, we were always, coming back to the South to shoot it, whether it was Eastbound or Vice Principals. And, as I started to have a family, I just started kind of seeing what the writing was on the wall, that if I was going to keep doing what I was going to be doing, I would be spending, 6 months out of the year away from my family. So I wanted to try to figure out a way to sort of not do that. And so we just had this idea with some of my other collaborators that maybe we would just try, writing the shows where we end up shooting them. And that sort of pushed us all to kind of move down here.
I'm so fascinated by maybe the differences in the way you work in the South versus like shooting something in LA and Hollywood, aside from the food, like I'm sure the food is a big part of it, right? Like the
food's
craft
insane.
services. Yeah.
The food is crazy. I had to get a personal trainer when I moved here, not to like lose weight, but just to maintain the level of comedy fat that I had so it wouldn't get worse. That was it.